Today I'm reading you the end of chapter 1. If you missed the start of chapter 1, it's like the previous video. If you've already listened to that, then welcome, you're in the right place. I'm going to read the end of chapter 1 and a little bit of a sneak peek of chapter 2 of What's French for Ups. Yes, this is an up for sale copy, because even I can't get the proper one until it's for sale. Which is in 2 days. Okay. Save my freakouts for when I'm not on camera. There are many. Okay, so they're in a pub in London, flirting up a storm. They all left together in the end. Jean kept waiting for Mac to return to his friends, the ones she'd seen wave to him from the bar. But he stayed with Jean, walked out into the fresh night air, the street lights and shadows, behind Kate and her friends. They walked along the side of the Thames, looking out at the river reflecting the city lights, the bridges and buildings, all so familiar, and yet new to her. I still can't quite believe I'm actually here. Long way from home. He wasn't looking at the view. His focus was all on her. Inside the bar it could have been anywhere, you know, but out here, there's no denying we are definitely in London. I can't quite get my head around it, but then my head is all jet lag and bare, and she felt his hand brush against hers. Her head was all flustered and fired up and full of him. You are... He slowed to a stop. Jean looked to see how far Kate was ahead of them, then turned back to Mac as he said, "We could go to my place." They could. They so could, except... I'm staying with Kate. She won't mind. No, I know, but it's okay, you can say no. Could she though? He was so damn gorgeous, and basically asking her to say no, which was weirdly but wonderfully sexy. It's not that I don't want to, it's just I've only been in this hemisphere for like 12 hours. Fair enough. He turned and kept walking. Even in this half-light, those suit pants hugged a fine ass. He was fine and sweet and just a tad awkward. Temptation and shiny shoes and that accent. Delicious. Jean jogged to catch up. Maybe in a couple of days. She took his elbow and he stopped walking again. He cocked his head to the side, a dare in his dark eyes. Tell the truth. She had her hands on his forearms and rocked forward. It'd be so easy to kiss him. Her body was aching for it, to brush against his again, like they had dancing. He'd teased her just right, got her all hot and thinking about it, so easily, like he wasn't even trying. Another night, she said. He leaned in like he was going to kiss her. Someone whistled, one of Kate's theatre friends. Max smiled and shook his head. Another night. He cleared his throat. Go on, I better go find my friends. Chapter 2. 1 month later. Watching a 7-year-old try to stir cake mixture had to be one of the most frustrating things in the world. Jean balled her fists behind her back to keep from taking over. Scoop it up from the bottom. Like this. Harry twisted the spoon, bursting a pocket of dry cocoa and flour which sprayed across the marble countertop and up onto his pale cheek. Better, Jean went to the sink for a cloth. Something to do with her hands might help her not to take over. Can I lick the spoon, Jean? Just let me give it one last... She swiped the cloth across the bench and took the spoon. The mixture folded into itself, absorbing the last of the dry ingredients. Harry planted his hands on the counter, his Spider-Man t-shirt flapping forward to collect a little spilled egg white. He kicked off the chair and swung side to side. All right, let's get this baby in the oven. Jean held out the spoon for him to lick. Who gets the bowl? Elise came in from the hall, hand raised in salute. Reporting for duty. Her nails were bright blue, which really popped against her dark skin. Harry craned to see how much mixture his sister was getting. Not fair. There won't be much left in this bowl when I'm done. Jean swiped the spatula around the edges. Elise perched on a bar stool, rocking back onto 2 legs. No hands. Jean couldn't bear to watch, and she definitely couldn't say anything. The trick with nannying a teenager was to pick your battles, and, with any luck, lull them into thinking they didn't have a nanny at all. This was not Jean's first week on the job. Harry pointed his chocolatey spoon at Jean like a sword. You should get the spatula. She can't, celiacs, unless... Elise grabbed the counter for dramatic effect, not balance. Better not be gluten-free. No, it's all yours. Jean handed over the spatula and bowl, with little more than a smear of mixture left on them. When's Mum due? Elise licked the spatula. You're going out? Harry's voice got higher on every word. But it's family movie night. Elise shrugged. I'll go after. What are we watching? She pushed off, balancing, then wobbling and balancing again. The bar stools were sturdy, hardwood, a little worn with age, but so solid they'd likely outlive the entire family. Elise saw Harry's expression. What? It's the holidays. Not like I have to get up for school in the morning. We're sorting out your uniforms tomorrow. Jean set the timer on the oven, a brushed steel monstrosity which didn't at all match the earthy decor of the open kitchen dining living room, but did its job like a dream. I still fit my uniform from last year, Elise said. You have to get a longer skirt. Harry put the spoon in his mouth, the handle sticking out like a tongue. Mum said. No, she didn't. She said you had to throw her how thought your third. Jean held up a hand. We'll just ask her when she gets... They all heard the front door open. Bloody hell, umbrellas hate me, Nicky's voice carried through from the hall. Harry sprung as if from a starting block, sprinting to the door. Elise is ditching family movie night. You want to go out in this? Nicky stepped through to the living room, finger combing her dark blonde hair so it fell mostly to one side of her head. Her mouth was slightly crooked, as was her nose, and maybe pulling her hair all to one side was meant to detract. But she carried herself with so much confidence she made asymmetry seem like fashionable edge. Elise had the spatula in her mouth and didn't take it out to argue. No, she was much too smart for that. She might look like her dad, with her dark, thick hair and Indian complexion, but she had Nicky's emotional intelligence, borderline and manipulative smarts. And it was T-minus 6 days. 6 days till the kids went to Matt's, Harry's biological and Elise's adoptive father. 6 days for Nicky to make sure the kids knew she was the cool parent. Elise's plans for the evening were safe. Not that there was any kind of actual competition over who was the cool parent. Nicky was 1,000 times over the cool parent. She was totally unflappable. Put it down to being a doctor in accident and emergency. Nothing shocked her. Somehow she juggled schedules and sleep deprivation and special occasions. She even squeezed in lazy mornings and bi-weekly movie nights. She wasn't just a great mum. She was a good boss too. And she could pick a decent bottle of wine at 50 paces. Nicky ruffled Harry's ash blonde hair. What have you been eating? Triple chocolate cake. Of course, she thumbed his cheek. Normally I'd applaud dessert first, grab life with both hands, carpe diem, but timing could be better. Dad's coming over? Elise spun around on her bar stool. Dad's coming over! Harry vaulted over the back of the sofa. Dad can try my cake! Elise joined Harry on the couch and flicked the TV on, browsing possible movies for the evening. Nicky came to the kitchen. Can you stay for a bit? Sure, for a bit. Jean had been planning to meet Kate and her friends, but they wouldn't miss her if she was a tad late. So that you're in the loop and all. Nicky grabbed a bottle of wine from the rack. It'll only take half an hour. Matt is, if nothing else, punctual. She put the bottle back and pulled out another for consideration. Jean had yet to actually meet Matt, but she'd gathered quite a lot of recon from passing comments, and it sounded like the guy had a serious stick up his ass. How many glasses? Jean opened the cupboard. Glasses? Nicky pretended to bite the cork out, spit and skull. Change of plans for next week? All Jean's fingers and toes were crossed for a delay. A day, a week longer at Nicky's. She'd take whatever she could get. This was the perfect nannying job. Not only had it given Jean a ticket out of her post-university rut to the other side of the world, no less, but they were all getting on so well together. Sure, the kids had to go to Matt's eventually, but it could only go downhill from here. Nicky looked grim. Was Matt going to bail completely? Fuck. Harry would be gutted. This week alone he'd mentioned his dad in passing more times than Jean could count. Even Elise would be disappointed. She didn't idolise Matt in the same way Harry did. For one, she was 15 and had both feet firmly planted in the adults are idiots phase. But she called Matt Dad. Had done so since she was 8 years old. Her own father, her first father, had long since signed over all parental rights. Matt was her dad. She loved him. Surely you have a say, Jean said. Nicky opened her mouth to reply as the doorbell rang. Harry scissored his legs over the back of the sofa, more elastic band than human, and ran to open the front door. Elise turned to Nicky. What's going on? She could be unnervingly perceptive at times. "Are we going to your house early?" Harry said. "We can bring my cake I made." "Cake?" That had to be Matt's voice. "You shouldn't have." Like a cartoon villain. The English accent. Rumbly, severe, vaguely James Bondish. The kind of villain that seemed like a good guy for the first half of the movie. Careful, or you'd be fooled by his charming exterior. "I have plans," Elise stood up. "You guys can't just change everything on me without warning." "Hello to you too, Elise." Matt stepped into the lounge, folding his navy woolen coat precisely and laying it over the back of the sofa. This must be the new Nan. It was him. The guy from the bar. Jean had given him her number that night, but a few days later she hadn't heard from him. She had to switch to a UK number. If he'd tried to get in touch after that, no luck. And thank fuck, Mac was Matt. Matt was Harry and Elise's dad. Fuck. Jean forced a smile. "You've met?" Nicky poured the wine. Yeah. Matt rubbed his neck. "What, a month or so ago?" Jean laughed awkwardly, all nerves and embarrassment. "It was, with Kate and her theatre friends. Small world." "So true. Jean's aunt and I met on a Contiki tour, a lifetime ago. Mind, the world seemed so much bigger then. Glass of wine?" Nicky asked Matt, handing one to Jean. Nicky was being friendlier than expected. She'd talked about Matt, and the kids had made it clear how their parents usually got on. Jean was expecting barbs, sarcasm, scorn, pointed looks at minimum. Matt looked guilty, and a little flushed, and almost as sexy as he had that night by the Thames. A day's growth shadowed his chin. A dimple between his eyebrows made him look slightly concerned. Jean had thought about him plenty of times in the past month. Nannying could be a lonely gig, and Jean knew so few people in London. She didn't see them as often as she'd like either, so yeah, she'd thought about Matt, rather. Wondered if she'd missed out on something there. Let her mind wander a little. It was hard to believe she was really in the same room with him. He was really right there, just standing by the couch. He was Harry and Elise's dad. It still hadn't sunk in. Elise groaned. "Do we have to drag this out?" Matt and Nicky gave each other a let's get this over with look. "And opportunities come up." Matt held his glass, not drinking. He moved his lips as if weighing the words, silently testing the phrasing. "How would you like to go to Paris?" I'm going to stop there. Can't give away too much. Well, I've probably given away quite a lot already in the past week with all my little teasers for giveaways for the launch week, but anyway, hopefully that leaves you wanting more, and you only have to wait 2 days till it's out, so you can pre-order now. And if you're not a Kindle kind of person, then all the other ebooks will be available on February 14th, on Valentine's Day, and there will be a paperback available from Amazon as well. So, yeah, see you soon.